This is the OpenClaw overview. I'm going to be explaining the AI technology taking the internet absolutely by storm right now. You can see news articles, YouTube videos, all over this cover image here and screenshots. You've probably seen this on social media. It's going absolutely crazy, and I'm going to be breaking it down here today. So you can see I have a really simple diagram as well as a formal definition and a breakdown of some of the terms used in that. But what I want to go ahead and start with is this diagram here, because this is the most clear for me and it will be for you guys as well. So what OpenClaw really is a simple gateway, and you use a messaging app to actually communicate with OpenClaw itself. OpenClaw is going to use an AI model and local memory to have context when completing tasks on either local files on your computer, a browser, web applications, so anything you would use, on a browser if you're signing into different softwares you're using, different web apps, and then desktop apps, for example, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Outlook, email providers, things like that. So the formal definition is that OpenClaw is a self-hosted gateway that turns AI models into always-on assistants reachable from your regular messaging apps. What does self-hosted mean? Self-hosted just means it's installed and runs locally in your computer's file system instead of a web app or an iOS app. So OpenClaw runs locally on your computer, and you don't actually need to go anywhere to access it. You don't need an app on your phone. You don't need to go to any websites. It's locally on your physical computer. A gateway is simply just a bridge that routes tasks and instructions from you through the messaging app to the AI, which is OpenClaw, which is connected to a model. The model is basically just a brain that powers OpenClaw, and you can think of OpenAI, which has ChatGPT, Anthropic, Google, these companies who have these AI products. They can actually give you an API key to use their model without needing to have the physical ChatGPT app. And that's going to be the brain that powers OpenClaw. And then the messaging apps is everything you're already using. So WhatsApp, iMessage, Slack, Discord. That's what's so powerful, is because it uses your regular messaging apps to communicate with the AI model itself. So you could just text the AI through iMessage. You could text it in Slack instead of having to have a separate dedicated web app or iOS app to access it. So again, you will message OpenClaw. OpenClaw will take actions on your behalf, either in your local computer, on a browser, on a web application, or on a desktop app, and then it will communicate back to you through whatever your messaging app of preference is when it's been completed, if it has questions, follow-up things. So you're just interacting with it here, and then again, it's using the AI model as the brain, as the actual power, the actual fuel for what it's doing on these apps. And then it's also using local memory, which we'll get into on the next slide. So what makes OpenClaw special is these 6 core components right here. And I'm going to go into each one, starting with the heartbeat, because this is really what sets OpenClaw apart from any of the other AI products you've used in the past. So AI is advancing on a very rapid pace, and OpenClaw in specific has a heartbeat feature. And what that means is that OpenClaw can work without actually being prompted. So every AI product in the past, you have had to actually prompt the AI. You would have to message it and ask it something in order to get something in return. You have to give an input, it gives you an output. But with a heartbeat feature, this will set on a timer. So the default out the gate is 15 minutes. You can have it run every 5 minutes. You can have it run every 45 minutes. But when that heartbeat goes off, when that timer goes off, it will proactively check for new tasks it needs to complete, for updates on something it's connected to, either in the skills or the tools I'll get into next. And this is where a lot of the productivity is unlocked, and a feature that sets it apart, because without you needing to physically interact with it, it's running in the background, it's checking on things in the background, it's completing tasks for you completely proactively 24/7. You could be going to bed at 9 p.m. every night, and throughout the night, the heartbeat's still firing, OpenClaw's still working. If you give it a task that takes more time than the heartbeat, in the intervals, then it will just continue to do that task until completed, and then it will turn off until the heartbeat goes off again. Now, skills is what OpenClaw can actually do. So skills that are commonly used is checking for new emails, updating a database, posting to social media, creating documents, and so much more. There's a big rabbit hole you can go down. There's a lot of skills that can be easily enabled, and that's not going to be covered here today. You can go research that somewhere else on the internet. But I want you to think about skills as SOPs, which stands for standard operating procedures, or just simple how-tos. When you enable a skill or you program OpenClaw with a skill, it's going to be documenting how you want that task or that project, for example, how you want posts on social media to be done, or how you want your CRM, your database to be updated. It's going to remember that, have that skill just like a human would, to be able to repeat that over and over again. Now, the way that gets handled is through memory, which is going to go into the third component here, which is, again, one of the things that sets OpenClaw apart is the fact that it logs every action and every instruction you give to it in a memory file on your computer. To not get too technical, the type of file it uses is called a markdown file, and the AI is going to be creating and updating this on its own, so this is nothing you have to do manually, but everything it does on a day-to-day basis, it's going to be logging. And when it turns on each heartbeat, or when it turns on at the start of the next day when you message it in the morning, it's going to go and review all of those past files in its memory. That way, it's building upon its own contextual understanding of what it is you need done, how you work, what you like to get done, what it's done for you. So just like a human would show up every day to work and get better and better as time went on, so does OpenClaw. I put on here compounding competence. The competence and understanding and capabilities of your specific OpenClaw instance gets better and better every single day because of the fact that it logs all of the instructions you give it, every action it takes, into a memory file that lives locally on your computer. So memory is a common complaint when it comes to the typical and current AI models we have out now. When you access ChatGPT on your phone, it's a little bit annoying that when you're talking with it, it doesn't remember, for the most part, everything that you've done with it in the past, all the projects and tasks you've worked on. So that's solved with OpenClaw. That is a huge feature and something we'll get into more at a later time. But I want to move on to the next feature, which is the channels. So the other thing that sets OpenClaw apart is the fact that you can talk to it in the apps you're already using every single day. So I put in here, convenience is the goal. You want to pick a channel to communicate with OpenClaw, and you can have multiple, but you want to pick a channel that's convenient for you. So if you have an iPhone and use iMessage every single day in your personal life and your business life, imagine a contact in your phone specifically dedicated to OpenClaw that you could simply just text through iMessage the same way you would text a friend, an employee, a coworker, a partner in business, anything. And OpenClaw is going to be able to go back to the last slide. OpenClaw is going to be able to receive instruction and take action on your behalf on a browser, on a web app, on a desktop app, in your local files, simply by prompting it through iMessage, for example. This is huge, and people don't really realize the day-to-day lift in productivity and how much more they're going to actually use AI when it's living inside of their native apps. So if you're someone who uses Slack or WhatsApp every day for business, boom, OpenClaw can work in there. That's massive, and you'll realize the potential once you start to interact with OpenClaw yourself for the first time. Now, the next thing on here is tools. So you want to think about tools as what you're actually giving OpenClaw access to. So you can either connect it to your current business email, or you can set up its own dedicated email that you forward stuff to and actually email it and allow it to reply back from its own dedicated email. You can connect it to a browser, so if it needs to look up current events, scrape data, or access anything live, it can go to a browser and do so just like you would, either on Google Chrome or Safari or whatever it is you personally use. You can connect it to your calendar so it can read your calendar, add events, manage your time, create events, do anything for you with the calendar. Like, the list goes on and on and on, but these are some of the big ones. You can connect it to social media accounts so it can go post content for you, interact with the people who are engaging with your content, and you could set up a dedicated phone number. That way you could use iMessage, but also so that it can text leads or text people, through your business and really truly act as a dedicated employee. So I put in here, the more tools that you give OpenClaw, the more capable it is because it has more access to do different things. And then the last one on here is the models. So this is a new feature with OpenClaw, the ability to connect different models for different purposes or connect a model of preference for different tasks. So any model can be connected. You would just go to OpenAI or go to Anthropic and purchase credits and then connect your API key to OpenClaw. And every time you do something, again, going back to this slide, every time you prompt it, every time you do something, it's going to pull on that AI model, use some of those credits to go ahead and get the task done. Now, better models equal better work. So Anthropic, the most recent model that's been released, is Opus 4.6. With OpenAI, the most recent one I believe is 5.2. I believe it's ChatGPT 5.2. So the newest models are going to be the most capable, the smartest, the best at handling complex tasks, and the safest. as far as prompt injection and security, which we can get into later. Now, I want to quickly cover my philosophy on how to actually use OpenClaw, and it can simply be boiled down to that one sentence right there: treat OpenClaw as if you hired a new employee. And what I mean by that is we wouldn't expect a new employee to step in day one and be able to run your entire business, right? That's asinine. You wouldn't hire a human, doesn't matter what their resume looks like, they're not going to be able to step into your business on the first day and handle everything. You would intentionally train them on specific tasks and responsibilities and give them more and more slowly. Again, going back to this slide here, the memory and how it logs every action and logs every instruction is how it's going to actually improve rapidly and get smarter, but you do need to take your time with it. And this is something that's very important because you want to be in this for the long haul, and you want to be able to train your OpenClaw AI assistant just like you would an employee, with the mindset of the longer this person's with me, the more this person can handle, the more this person knows about my personal life and my business life, how I want things done, the more valuable they are going to be to me. Same thing for OpenClaw. The next thing I have on here is we wouldn't trust a new employee to make important business decisions for us. Again, it doesn't matter what level of employee you hire. This could be the most competent person. This could be a COO. You could be hiring a CEO to step out of the business yourself and let them run it, but you still on day one would not trust it to make important business decisions. You would instead delegate the repetitive and mundane work at any level. You would dedicate the repetitive and mundane work to free up your time and improve your personal productivity and get more done in a day. And it's the same way you should treat OpenClaw. You should start with some simple tasks, start with some stuff that happens every day that you can train OpenClaw to handle for you, and then slowly give it more and more over time. And the third one on here is the biggest one, and something I'm very, very adamant about, which is that you would not give a new employee your personal computer with all your passwords, all your files, all your photos, and just say, here's the keys to the kingdom. No, you would never do that. You would instead either set up a new computer for them that you provide, or expect them to bring their computer and then slowly give them logins and account access based on how much you trust them. Same thing with OpenClaw. We don't recommend that you go ahead and install this on your personal everyday computer. You instead want to try and get your hands on a separate piece of hardware, a separate computer, and ideally one that's plugged in and running 24/7. So if you're someone that uses a MacBook Pro or a laptop, any device that is portable and can move around, those are convenient for doing business in different locations, I understand, but not convenient when it comes to running 24/7, having that thing turned on, and having OpenClaw running with everything it needs to do, including that heartbeat, if it's a computer that the battery can die on, or you can close the lid and put it to sleep or turn it off, when you're moving around. So you definitely want to get a new, setup for OpenClaw, and it ideally needs to be one that's plugged in 24/7. So either a PC or a Mac Mini, or if you're going to use a separate laptop, just make sure it's connected to power. Now, with all that, that leads to where should you actually set up OpenClaw? And this is the first decision you need to make if you want to get OpenClaw running. You have two big options here, and I made a pro and cons list for each one, and I'm going to give you my recommendation. So a virtual server is something that is, commonly the initial first choice, but when you look deeper into it, there's some serious cons I want to bring to your attention. So the pros of it is there's a lot of these one-click install services that are spinning up and becoming very popular. People are advertising, install OpenClaw in 1 click, install OpenClaw in 2 clicks. And that sounds great, but what you got to understand is the reason you're doing that is because it's on a virtual server hosted somewhere in the cloud, and you don't own that. You don't manage that. And I'll get into that in the cons section. So the other pros to a virtual server is it is quick to use and get started and start working with OpenClaw, and there is no hardware cost. But the cons are you're really renting the access to your OpenClaw AI assistant. You're going to need to pay a subscription every single month to wherever virtual server or whatever one-click install service you're paying to actually access that. You don't really own it, you're renting. And then there is a security risk because whoever's hosting this virtual server for you somewhere in the cloud, they can turn it off at any moment. They may or may not have access to your files and everything, all the data that's on there. And there is limited configuration. Most of these virtual servers, people don't realize, are using Linux. And who really uses Linux? We're either using Mac OS or we're using Windows. And yes, Linux is technically Windows, but there is limited configuration because you're running this on a server in someone else's, server room, and they're just saying it's in the cloud. Okay. The other option, the option I recommend, is you get your hands on a local machine. So again, if you have an extra Mac Mini laying around, or if you can get your hands on one, simply just go on Facebook Marketplace if you want to have a budget option. Or if you have an extra PC somewhere in your office, maybe you had an employee that left and you have an extra computer laying around, this is the ideal use case. So the pros is that no one can take it away from you. If a computer lives physically in your office or in your home, unless you get robbed, no one is taking that piece of hardware away. No one is taking your AI assistant away from you. It's easier to use on a daily basis, I believe, and from my experience and from what I recommend, because just like if there was a physical human employee in your office, if the AI assistant is running on a local computer, you can hook it up to a monitor, you can hook it up to a TV or any type of external display and actually see what's on that device, what's happening on that device, add files to it, configure it, get in there, make changes, whatever you need to do, outside of just messaging it from one of the messaging apps, and control it. Plus, you have full privacy because, again, it's living locally in your office, in your home. No one has access. You control the whole thing. Now, some of the major cons and what causes people to go with the first option, the virtual server, is that setting it up on a local machine is extremely technical. You have to use command line interface. You have to have some base, understanding of code. It's harder to get started, and for a lot of people, they don't have an extra device, so they need to go out and actually purchase some hardware. But again, I do recommend the local machine. I'm gonna explain in a couple slides how you can do this very easily, and I'll walk you through the whole thing. So who am I? Who's making this video? Whose voice are you listening to right now? And why should you, pay attention to me when it comes to OpenClaw? So my name is Michelangelo Mignoni. I'm located here in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I'm the ex-director of operations. This was my early career, was spent working for a real estate private equity firm here locally. I personally helped scale them from 4 million, after the first acquisition that they purchased, all the way up to a portfolio value of 40 million. We had over 700 plus units, and we were bringing in $5 million a year in revenue, in rent collected in our real estate portfolio. I helped them scale by implementing software and systems. My, MO, my skill set was in analyzing processes, analyzing what was happening. We would buy a piece of real estate, take it over, and I would implement software and systems to make it run super smooth, to increase the efficiency in the operations and allow us to take on, scale, to allow us to purchase more properties, bring them into the portfolio, run them more efficiently, make more money, improve the value, improve the cash flow, and then go out and buy another park without a lot of operational drag. So in 2025, I left that company and went out and started building conversational AI in the home service niche. And what that means is when contractors or home service companies would get an inbound lead or phone call that went to voicemail, we had AI agents that text those leads back and can have a full conversation with them through iMessage. This was pretty revolutionary. I still have clients, I still run that agency, I still provide that service. And what it really does is allows us to qualify leads, filter out the spam call, and then set appointments for sales guys to actually go to the homeowner, go meet at the property, give them an estimate, and allow the business owner and the sales guys to never really have to respond to the leads, but also have the business get back to the leads right away as soon as they filled out a form on the website, as soon as they called in. And it just really, really helped these home service companies. In 2026, when OpenClaw came out, I was an early adopter. I started using it right away and then began setting it up for local businesses. So my family's contracting businesses, I set it up for them. I set it up for my real estate business, and I started setting it up for local businesses here in my area in West Palm Beach. But right now I'm offering the first build and ship direct to your doorstep OpenClaw service. So you see me here on the right holding these Mac Minis. And what I'm going to get into right now is how I can actually help you with OpenClaw. If we think back 2 slides ago, when we talked about setting this up on a local machine, if you work with me, if we're the right fit to work together, and you're interested in getting OpenClaw set up, I will actually provide a brand new Mac Mini or Windows PC if you prefer Windows, and I will handle the entire technical OpenClaw installation. So what I'm going to be doing is buying a brand new computer on your behalf, taking that computer and installing OpenClaw right out the gate. Then I'm going to customize that OpenClaw AI assistant to your business needs. So once we start working together, we're going to jump on a call and you're going to tell me what you want to use this for. If you need help figuring out where in your business this can fit in, We can discuss, I can put together a strategy for you, and then begin training your OpenClaw for you. I can connect it to the skills, connect it to the tools, start to program the memory, hook it up to the channels, get you an API key, handle all the technical stuff for you, customize it to your business. Once I have it ready to go, we can jump on a live Zoom call and you can demo it. I'll have it running here in my office. You can do a screen share. You can talk to it through whatever channel you prefer. You can watch it complete the tasks. And once you're happy with it, I'll package up that computer and mail it directly to you. By doing this, you get all the benefits of running OpenClaw AI on a local machine without having to do a virtual server, but still have the pros of quick to use, no hardware cost, and one-click install pretty much, because I'm going to be handling all of the technical implementation for you. So this is a 100% hands-off service for you. All you literally need to do is plug it in when it gets delivered. And once I build it, customize it, and ship it to you, you now own that computer. It lives in your office. It lives in your home. You have all the benefits on the previous slide I told you about. No one can take it away from you. It's easier to use. It's right there next to you. You can control it. You can customize it. You have full privacy, but you don't need to do a single thing. Once it gets delivered to your house, I'll be there virtually to go ahead and teach you how to use it, provide ongoing support if you have any issues, walk you through the whole thing, completely hands off. So if this is something that's interesting to you, if you want to get OpenClaw set up, if it's something you've been researching, people on your team are telling you about it, friends of yours are using it, but you don't know where to get started, you want to skip the technical setup, you see the benefits in using it on the local machine, this is the option for you. I'm the first ever build and ship service for OpenClaw. I've been doing this for a lot of companies, like I said, locally for myself, and now I'm ready to start building them and shipping them all around the country. So if you want to get started with this, I'm an old school kind of guy. I'd love to just pick up the phone, give me a call. I'll answer right away. If I don't pick up, I'm on the phone with another client. I'll give you a call back. That's my cell phone number. You can call or text me there. Blue Bubble iMessage. It's a physical device on my desk at all times. If you prefer to just book a meeting, schedule something on a calendar, a little more formal, at a set time that works for you, you can simply go to cal.com. It's a calendar booking service, cal.com/OpenClaw, and go ahead and pick a time that I have available and you have available, and we could jump on a call then. So again, if this is at all of interest to you and you're ready to get OpenClaw set up in your business, if you want to start experiencing the power of having an AI employee in your business that you can train up, that will have memory, that's extremely capable, that you can connect to different tools, give different skills, talk to in different channels, can be running proactively for you in the background 24/7. If you want to experience the cutting edge AI technology right now, here at the top of 2026, then give me a call or go to my calendar booking and schedule a time on there. Wherever you're watching this video, I will have other videos posted. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content about what we're doing with OpenClaw, examples of how it's running. I'm going to make more, training videos and things like that. But don't hesitate, get off the sidelines, at least give me a call. Would be happy to do a strategy session with you and explain how this could work, make some type of game plan, and give you a quote on pricing. So give me a call, shoot me a text. I'd love to speak with you. If this video was at all helpful, drop a comment wherever you're watching this, let me know, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thanks.